It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you listen, whenever you're watching. I hope you're doing all right today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go to St. Simon's Island for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Holiday Inn Properties. That's right, if you're going to stay any place in the U.S. of A., make sure you stay in a Holiday Inn property. There's many to choose from. My two favorites are the Holiday Inn Express and Holiday Inn Resorts. But listen, I can hook you up with a Billy C discount. So next time you're going to make your reservations, call our toll-free, that's what I said, toll-free phone number, 844-603-0364, 844-603-0364, or just click on the Holiday Inn banner up on BillyCBoxing.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Turning Stone Resort and Casino and their next big boxing event, which is taking place Saturday night. It will be broadcast on HBO. Saddam Ali makes the first defense of his newly acquired junior middleweight title. So check that out. And finally, oh, by the way, get tickets. The best priced tickets available direct at the box office at Turning Stone. And you can get there by clicking the fight poster on BillyCBoxing.com, bypass the middleman, and get the best price you can get. And by the way, there's not a bad seat in the house, so don't think you gotta, spend top dollar. That's all I'm saying. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to this show. Just visit BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Find out why I'm so adamant about getting Tom Molyneux's story told. Coming up a little bit later on the show, I got some news. Joseph Parker getting a fast track or thinking they're going to get a fast track back to a world title. Sergey Kovalev and his next fight, which is a tough one against longtime mandatory title challenger Eleider Alvarez. It's going to be happening in my man Larry Hazard's reign in Atlantic City. Also, an update on Joe Smith Jr. and the next World Boxing Super Series tournament. We'll talk about that. Also, I'm hoping to get to Vasily Lomachenko against Jorge Linares this weekend. A great fight. My question to people is this fight going to live up to the hype? I think it's going to. I really do. We'll talk about that and specifically break down the fights and give you our predictions starting tomorrow. Today is Thursday. You know what that means. It's Super Chat Thursday. So come on over to our YouTube chat room and give us a Super Chat with your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, whatever, and we'll bring it on air so you'll be part of the show. So drive the show today, boys and girls. But I want to kick off the show with some news. I talked about this yesterday as we were going. I promised that I would talk about it. And one of my main topics today, I've been saying for a while about Floyd Mayweather's promotion company, Mayweather Promotions, and how I feel, because, by the way, another thing we're going to talk about is a big announcement that Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing is going to be making today. And my point is now that, Hearn is coming over here and he's kind of, moving right into, become a large player in the promotional company, in the sport of boxing. And, we have Golden Boy here, we have Main Events, we have Top Rank here, but they're all dragging their feet. Greed has prevented them from really becoming, in my opinion, the premier boxing promoter in the sport today. Eddie Hearn is starting to fill that void, in my opinion. And I've said many times that I feel that Floyd Mayweather's Mayweather Promotions could be that promotional company. They could be the premier United States-based promotional company if they would make some moves that I think would help not only their promotional company but the sport. But the problem is that I feel that Floyd Mayweather himself, his own humongous ego, is preventing his talented fighters. Now, I'm not saying all of them are, but he does have a handful of extremely talented fighters under his banner. And it seems that every time they take a couple of steps forward, all of a sudden they're taking a few steps back. And, I've always accused Floyd of being the problem because of his ego. Well, now I think I got some proof, and I'm going to talk about that. But first, joining me right now to get his thoughts on the potential, Mayweather Promotions and their move or rise to prominence as a U.S.-based boxing promotional team is Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, what's your thoughts? I mean, do you think that Floyd's ego could be preventing his A-list fighters from getting better and better and doing the right thing?
I don't know if I could go that far, but you never know because, he does have a big ego. And but by saying that, he should also aspire to be one of the biggest and best promoters, which he is definitely in a position to grow to be. He's got some credibility in the boxing world about that. And he's got some decent fighters that he can have showcase and be their flagship. And, I think it's a matter of just him promoting and getting behind these guys and, giving it all. They're his all. And I think he's on the cusp of that. And I think he could do that. And if he does, well, my hat's off to him because he's one that's in a strong position to make some real great strides and to rise above and to be a leader.
Well, you said you can't say it. You never want to say anything. You're always trying to tippy-toe around stuff, which I guess is maybe you're a better man than I. But I see it and I say it, okay? I'm not afraid to say it. And here's the thing. My man Mitch was nice enough to send me an email the other day. He says, hey, Billy C., this morning you guys were talking about Floyd wanting all the attention as soon as his fighters get some shine. This was the other day. He says, then a few hours after your show, check out these tweets from Tank Davis. He says, you see, he's watching the show too. Rumor has it he watches the YouTube version of the show to get the full camera view of you and Sal. And, he sent me the tweets, and this is from Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis is an example of what I'm talking about. Gervonta Tank Davis is an extremely talented fighter. We loved his last performance. But let's backtrack a sec. All right? Gervonta Tank Davis busts onto the scene. He gets under the wing of Floyd Mayweather. He gets his title shot thanks to Floyd. We got to give Floyd credit for that. Gets his title shot, wins the title. Now all of a sudden he's hanging out with Floyd, right? What happens? His first title defense comes in overweight, loses his title on the scale. Now he's got no title. Then what happens? He gets arrested for beating up his girlfriend. Then to follow that, he was spotted the other day hanging out at strip clubs, everything else, right? Now, he did seem to right the ship, and he looked fantastic in his last fight. He also was a little humbled with his post-fight interviews. But check out this. These are the tweets that Gervonta Davis sent out. He says, I'm under someone that just doesn't want to see me win. He says he takes pictures of my tags to see where I get my car from, see how much I get paid, and everything else. He says, why does this man, everything I do, want to tell Al Heyman about it? I buy something, he wants to tell. I do something in my personal life, he goes and tells. But he never supports me when I fight. Okay? Now, if this isn't proof enough, that's coming right from a fighter's mouth. Okay? And, I never, as much as I look at Floyd Mayweather and the way his persona is, and he wants to be gangster, that's the way he hangs out. Since when is a gangster a snitch? Since when does he go and snitch? Listen, this is what happened. Let's backpedal a little bit. Adrian Broner busts onto the scene as a lightweight. Looks fantastic. I loved what I saw. Gets under the wing of Floyd Mayweather. Is referred to from Floyd Mayweather as his little brother, right? Then what happens? We all know what happens after that. Adrian Broner crashed and burned. He's been arrested several times. His career has taken a downward spiral. I mean, I don't know, Sal. I'm sorry. You say you can't say it, but I think that the evidence is pretty clear.
Well, I'll tell you, when you frame it like that, I'll tell you, it's hard. I mean, and you look at Floyd Mayweather and his stature in the game of boxing, in the sport of boxing, and it's hard to return or give up or turn over the reins on that level. I mean, when I'm speaking as an observer looking the outside in, and he has all the accolades. He has this is his journey, and you have a big ego when it's all about you, and it's hard to turn the reins over to say, hey, well, I'm in a position I could promote and I could do wonderful things for the people I have under my wing. And I think he should really look at, the transition, where it's no longer all about me in that capsule of a persona as a fighter, and let me turn it around so now I can be all about me and my promotional and what I do for my fighters. If he can make that transition and take these guys and really rear them in tutelage and give them the direction and give them the notoriety that they deserve, because I love Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, the guy's got a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and he could reign as a champion for a very, very long time. And he does all the right things. And I loved his last interview, and I know he switched trainers too, and I think that had a lot to do with it. So I think Floyd Mayweather, has got to start accentuating what's positive in his under his wing, and he's got to really start showing that it's not only about him, but it's about his promotional outfit and who he has under his wing that are going to be leaders in the game of boxing for a couple of years.
Well, let me take it another point. Let me take another point and run with it. He's got another fighter that's under the Mayweather promotional banner, at least as far as I know. I don't know if he stopped working with him or not. But Badou Jack is a perfect example. Badou Jack goes on the rise, and for whatever reason, he gets some good fights, blah blah blah. He moves up, and then he gets knocked out viciously. As a matter of fact, I was ringside for that up at the Turning Stone, and after that, it seemed as if Floyd kind of, kicked him to the back burner. But what I have come to find out was it was Badou Jack's team that decided, hey, let's separate ourselves from Floyd, not specifically from the promotional outfit, but from Floyd. They did so. And look what has happened. There has been no better and more encouraging turnaround from a fighter since a vicious knockout loss than Badou Jack. As a matter of fact, he's fighting Stevenson coming up in a few weeks. So, there's an example of a guy that saw it, didn't make a big stink about it, just reacted to what they realized, and he's benefiting from it. I have a feeling that Gervonta Davis has opened up his eyes, and maybe, as you suggest, Sal, by changing his trainer, maybe he's getting some good advice, and he too will separate himself from Floyd and what Floyd has a tendency to do. Now, with that said, Floyd has been able to hang around at strip clubs, do the gangsta thing and all of that, and stay successful. But not everyone can do it. So for Floyd's, to give Floyd credit, he's been able to balance it. He knows that it's a hard balancing act. And a young fighter, and remember, Floyd didn't do this in the beginning of his career when he first started out. He did this after he's learned the trade a little bit. He's taken some young fighters that are, they don't know, they just don't know. They're following a guy that has a successful career, a successful record, of course, and they're saying, well, I want to do what this guy does, but they're naive. That's the word I'm looking for here. They're naive. And the end result has been crash and burns. And then we as a boxing public turn around, oh, look, Adrian Broner, oh, he's at it again, oh, this and that. He was sold the wrong bag of goods. No, I think a lot of the blame has to be put on Floyd Mayweather because there's too many coincidences, Sal.
Well, and I'm thinking, Floyd's had a good tutelage, too. He's had his father and he's had his uncle. So I'm sure that they were giving him words of wisdom and pearls of wisdom and here and there from their experience in the ring and, the path. So I think Floyd, has got to thank them as well for his rise to success and maybe the direction. And, whatever he could do. And like I said, Bill, it's a transitional period for Floyd to move from it's all about me as a fighter individual to now it's all about the other fighters I could develop, promote, and let shine. And that's a you got a big ego. That's a hard thing to let go of and do. But at this stage of the game, unless he's going to make a comeback every couple of years, those are the things that I think he should start, if he has not already, started to focus on and key on and realize that, hey, I could still fight, I could do this, but I'm better off now promoting other young fighters and give them the direction, give them the opportunities that were given to me. And, that would be the perfect world, the perfect scenario, because he's in the driver's seat on that level to do those things. But to do those things, you've got to really look in the mirror and say, are you ready to do it and do it for others? And I don't know.
Well, Floyd is all about Floyd. He always has, and he always will be. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote. Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Floyd, we're talking about Floyd Mayweather, his ego, seemingly when he gets a young fighter under his wing and the fighter starts an upward, launch, drive, Floyd has a tendency to all of a sudden help him go down a little bit. Sort of like a roller coaster. And I just think, Floyd has a huge ego. And, in boxing, that could be a good thing. Any superstar athlete should have a big ego, I think. It helps them with their confidence, et cetera, et cetera. But I think in Floyd's case, and, every superstar athlete, whether it's boxing, baseball, football, whatever, that have been and accomplished so much, just like Floyd has, it's hard to let go. And, everything was always circling and surrounding Floyd through, at least the last 15 years, his whole life, he's been the center of attention. No matter what he does, no matter what he says, no matter where he goes, no matter what he buys, all of this stuff, top, center of attention. And all of a sudden, he tries to spin it, he picks the fights that he wants, et cetera, et cetera. He makes the money that he wants, et cetera, all those things. But at the end of the day, he's not really the center of attention anymore. Yeah, when he comes out and says he's going to fight this guy or wants to fight in a cage, and he's dabbling and teasing everybody that takes the bait and runs with it or whatever. At the end of the day, the ego still exists. The age and the body may be getting older and slowing down, and realistically be limited. You don't see them, great champions throughout the history always push the envelope and fought, young guys coming up, and then all of a sudden they age overnight, and everybody remembers that last fight. Very few, I would say, all-time great fighters walked away from the ring unscathed or at the top of the game. Lennox Lewis comes to mind as being a guy that was able to, and obviously Floyd did. But Floyd's not done yet. Floyd's spending habits and all of this stuff kind of is going to force him into doing things that he promised himself he wouldn't, like continue fighting. That's why I feel so strongly, Sal, that Floyd could still get that juice that he wants, and I don't mean the same juice that Canelo sprinkles on his beef, but I'm talking about the same juice, the same attention levels, et cetera, by focusing on promotion, not promotion of himself, but promotion of his promotional company and his young fighters in a positive way. Not a teasing way. Hey, let's throw. Oh, this guy looks good. Hey, I don't want him to be too good. I don't want people to say he's better than me. Let's knock him down a few pegs. And I'm not saying. Hey, listen. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that Floyd tells somebody to go and hang out at a strip club all night, or goes and tells somebody to go home and beat up their wife or girlfriend like Floyd does. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is he puts them in situations where he just, will put somebody in a situation and sit back and let it run its course. It's easy to have a young, human being that all of a sudden has got all the money they can spend, et cetera, et cetera. It's hard for them to resist temptations. It's just a natural thing as we get older, don't you think?
Well, you're talking about youth versus age and or aging, and we go through this life one time, and we learn, and we try to apply what we learn to our future, and that's the only way we can improve and do things that are up and above the board, and you learn from the mistakes and make the adjustments and calculations and go forward. Everyone should have that opportunity to learn. And they do. It's just how they run with it and what they want to accentuate for themselves. And I think everyone has that opportunity. Some do not grab it. Some do not run with it. Some do not really heed to it. Others will. And, hey, you're an adult and you know how you're going to have to conduct your life. It's going to be your legacy. And like we were saying, or like I said too, when Floyd's ready to turn the reins over, he may do so, but it's really hard, maybe for him at this time, to do so completely and to let others shine. I'm not saying he can't, but maybe this is where he is in his own place in life right now. Because, for years when I retired from fighting, everybody wanted to ask or see if I could train them, if I could show them things. And I liked to, and I could, but it was hard because it was nagging on me, because knowing I retired early, that I felt, I still could do it. It's too much of a temptation. I still want to get back in the ring. Why can't I show somebody else something that I could do better or whatever? So, you have that inner conflict going on sometimes. I'm not suggesting that's what's going on with him, but I think until he's ready to look in the mirror and say, hey, guess what? I now want to shine and become the best promoter in the world. That could be a goal for him.
That's my point. That's my point, Sal. He could look at it that way and say, I want to be the best. I want to be the top promoter. I want people to talk about Mayweather Promotions. That's been my whole point about that. That's the exact way. I mean, and then you can get all that attention, right? You could still get all that attention. You could be in the center of the universe, the boxing universe, et cetera, if he focused on that. I think the ego is preventing that, Sal. The ego, just like you said, just the same reasons that haunted you for 25 years, just the same ridiculous reasons that you say you would want to make a comeback today at 75 years old. I mean, all of those things, all kidding aside, is true. They're true. And if Floyd was able to take that, hey, let's face it. I mean, his competitive attitude is second to none. Why not apply it to his promotional company and kick ass? And turn around and become an undefeated promoter. I mean, I don't know. That undefeated boxing record would always follow him no matter where he goes. And if he just would take and give, the right types of advice to young fighters. Make them stay away from the strip clubs and hanging out at night and the partying part of the world. Make them be cautious and frugal with the newfound bucks that they got, and make sure that they don't do stupid things like slap their wives and girlfriends around and stuff like that. You know, all of that kind of stuff. This stuff that he deep down knows that he shouldn't be doing. Why isn't he trying to help them instead of aid them?
Well, because again, Floyd has, and I'm not saying anything wrong with it. When you're a world champion, you have to have this. He carries around with him. You got an elitist attitude. You've got to feel that you're impervious to what the normalities of life are going to throw your way. You're bulletproof, and because you are the elite individual that you are. So it's hard. It's an ego thing. It's looking in the mirror thing. It's ready to turn over the reins thing. It's ready to let go thing. And, you know, some people can make that transition and have the reality of life humble them. And others, maybe take a little while to come around and do that. So, you know, I really feel that he's got himself in a position that he can do it on his agenda, and maybe he's defining that now. And but until he fully lets that go, I mean, you said it before. He could be the greatest promoter out there. I mean, he's got everyone's attention. He could do this. It's if he's ready to do this, if he really wants to do this. But he's got all the opportunities, and the world's eyes are all on him. If he wants to do anything with his life, he could still have that competitive nature, be the biggest, be the best. And you know what? If he wanted to throw it all into promoting and turn the reins over and start touting Gervonta Davis is the world's greatest or this and that, and if he's ready to do that, then, you know, all my hat's off to him. But I think that's the thing that he's got to come to terms with and realize that he's ready to let go, ready to be the best promoter in the world, and do what he's got to do for the fighters he signs.
Sal, we got to take a break, but I got one more question for you.
Yes.
If Manny Pacquiao wins his next fight, and there's a potential possibility of a Manny Floyd rematch, I got two questions that I want yes or no answers for. Number one, do you think Floyd and Manny could fight a rematch? And I want a yes or no answer. And number two, would you buy it?
Are you ready for my answers now? Or
Yep. No, I want the answers right now. So I get with the answer to number one. Is the Floyd Manny rematch? You know, is that possible? Yes or no?
It's very possible.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Why can't you say yes or no? Stop being a politician. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
now the other
big yes.
Now the other question. Yes or no? Yes or no, Sal? Because we got to take a break. Would you buy it?
Yeah.
You have to.
Oh, yes, I would. Yes. But I will stick to my guns.
That Floyd will win 99 out of 100 times.
Floyd Mayweather will beat Manny Pacquiao out of 100 fights. He'll beat him 90-something times. 99 times.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. So don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Hologram USA presents a proposal to all investors. Hologram USA is an innovative three-dimensional patented technology that shifted the paradigm in media technology. Our patented hologram technology that brought you Tupac and Coachella, Whitney Houston, Billie Holiday, and many more is integrating live performances to bring your favorite past and present entertainers beyond your imagination. Invest in the patented technology before the banks scoop up all the stock. Invest in Hologram USA today. Hologram USA Flagship Theater, located on Hollywood Boulevard's Walk of Fame, is the first of many to come. Call now to be part of the explosive growth. Pick up the phone. Dial the number on your screen now. Invest in Hologram USA today. Call the number on your screen right now to learn about this investment opportunity.
Call 800-624-1673. 800-624-1673.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, it's Super Chat Thursday. That's right. If you're watching or hanging out in the YouTube chat room, give us a Super Chat with your comments, questions, concerns, and we'll make it part of the show. We'll bring it right up on air. So, yeah. You know, you got to do a Super Chat. But in any event. And, by the way, if you're watching or listening on the radio dial or on a television network or on another stream or a podcast, whatever, however you're watching or listening to the show, don't forget we air the show currently 5 days a week, and you can catch the live stream on our YouTube channel. It's the same version that we do upload to the television network. So if you're watching like on our simulcast, say, let's just for argument's sake, say Facebook, you're not getting the full version of the show, guys. So check it out on our YouTube channel, or just go to BillyCBoxing.com. I wanted to talk about, I got some emails to read, and the first one I'm going to read is actually from my main man over in the UK, our UK correspondent, Johnston, who had given me a little heads up on some stuff that's going to be taking place today. Eddie Hearn will be making a big announcement today in the U.S. It'll be around 4 p.m. Eastern Time. What's going to be taking place is his announcement of a new broadcast deal that he has in place, which will be including him doing a lot of more shows here in the United States, plus making it available not only on the television networks, but also through a streaming company. Excuse me. And this was something that I had talked about, and not only on the show, but I talked about it behind closed doors, not only with Sal, but with some other people, that we should do this years ago. And right now, the rest of technology has caught up with that idea. The reasons I knew that was because my background was in IT, and I made a bold prediction on this show beginning several years ago that the way we watch, and Sal, I know you heard this, the way we watch TV and what we call TV and the internet and streaming and all of that will eventually just be entertainment, and that all of our devices will be able to see the same stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's all taken place, and not only has it taken place, but it's taken place quicker than I thought. And the last part of my prediction was that in the very near future, what we're going to be able to do is just pay for our interest. In other words, if you're a sports fan, you pay your fee for the month, your monthly fee for what you like to watch, and you'll be able to see all the boxing or any sports event that you want on TV, on your handheld, on your tab, whatever. And you'll be paying based on your interest. And that's all slowly happening right now, and it's going to happen pretty quick. And that's what Eddie Hearn is doing. When they asked him, we got some quotes thanks to Johnson. He says, you know me, I have a massive mouth, so keeping this quiet has been so hard for me. It's something that's significant. It's a very proud moment for Matchroom Boxing. It's a massive moment for the sport of boxing, for American boxing, for world boxing, and of course, British boxing. It gives us every chance to build a worldwide stable, the likes of which have never been seen before in this sport. When asked on the subject of signing other American fighters, with Wilder being one of his main targets, Hearn said, "You need a mouth. I'm a mouthpiece. I'm a traveling salesman. But where are these guys? Where are these guys?" Meaning, where are their traveling salesmen? They shouldn't have to do it themselves. He said, "Look at Deontay Wilder. It's embarrassing that this guy is still sitting on Instagram filming himself and trying to build his profile off of Anthony Joshua's name. This guy needs help. These guys need help. The Charlo brothers, Wilder, all these kinds of fighters. And when we come full circle starting in September, these guys are all on our radar for Matchroom Boxing in USA." He also added, while he's in New York, this will be his final attempt to try and hash out a deal to fight with Deontay Wilder. But listen, Sal, you can spin it any way you want, but this guy is 100% correct. I've said this many, many times. Deontay Wilder, if it wasn't for Deontay Wilder, no one would know who he is. The people that he has surrounded himself is not doing him any justice. They are not promoting him correctly. He should be a household name, and he's not. The truth of the matter is, Lou DiBella, you could talk to any fighter that signed with Lou DiBella, and the guy does nothing. If you sign with a promoter, look up the definition of promotion. And these guys aren't doing it. You and I, Sal, talk about guys like Don King and Bob Arum all the time. They were actual promoters. The promoters today don't promote. Eddie Hearn is bringing the promotion back to promoters. What do you think?
My hat's off to him. Are you kidding me? Eddie Hearn's saying all the right things. And when you look at Eddie Hearn, he, especially over in the UK, he's the outsider looking in. And the dominance of the sport of boxing and the initial spark and fire that could be lit in the United States. You've got a plethora of fighters here that are just hungry for the notoriety and the fame that they're working hard for every day. And if you are, like I said, the outsiders looking in could see opportunities that are not being taken care of because other people are complacent with it right underneath their radar. So, Eddie Hearn, come on over, do what you got to do. And these fighters, they got to realize it. They got only a few short years to make or break it in a very, very tough sport. And if they need all they can get from a guy like Eddie Hearn, my hat's off to Eddie Hearn. They should be ripe for the taking, and he should help them make it. So, and that's it. And Deontay Wilder, same thing. I mean, Deontay Wilder, For him to have to promote himself, shame on these guys that surround him, because Deontay Wilder is big. I mean, he's the other champion, by the way, heavyweight, and he should be a household, world-known name. And when you look at the grassroots, and you mention them, the Don Kings, the Bob Arums, when you signed with these guys, you were not only getting a pat on the back, but these guys made you bigger than life because they took you under their wing and you were representing them. And they had egos too, by the way. And I'll tell you, one of the other grassroots, I got to give him credit, like him, not like him, Lou Duva. Lou Duva would do the same thing. He'd take a fighter under his wing. That fighter was man of the year. That fighter became the center of attention. And that fighter began to, hey, this is pretty neat. I'm believing what I'm seeing, and so it goes hand in hand. But that's what you need. You need the kind of promoters that are grassroots promoters that are going to pat you on the back, going to lift you up, and going to say, hey, this is my man. This is what we're going to do, and this is what I want for his future. And that's it.
The thing that had happened, and I've said this many times, Sal, Don King's success. And you know what? I'm not just blowing this out my ass. I did the same mistake. When I first decided that I wanted to become a promoter, when I first got my feet wet and lost my life savings, the truth of the matter is, and I can laugh about it.
And you want me to do the same thing?
No, I want you to do the same thing after I learned. There was nobody there. There was nobody to help me. There were guys that all they did was took my money. But the truth of the matter is that I admired Don King. And I look at Don King and I say, oh, boxing promoter. That means you're going to make tons of money, right? And I fell prey to it, and that is what the mistake that promoters make. They turn around, new promoters. They turn around, they think, oh, this is easy. All I got to do is put on a fight, and people are going to come flocking and buying tickets, and I'm going to just sit back and count the money. Well, that's not how it works, And the illusion that guys like Don King and Bob Arum made because of their great success created a whole, plethora of young promoters. We call them one and dones. They go out, they promote an event, they lose their ass, and they walk away. That hurts boxing, okay? And now what we see is greedy. There's promoters that promote and have been in business for a long time that never open up their checkbook. What has happened is in the boxing business, we have a small handful of top promoters. Every other promoter that's involved in the sport below the handful of top promoters, and I'm talking about there's only maybe 3 or 4 top promoters. Every other one is among the rest. Those guys have become promoters creating the opponents. If you take a look and look at it clearly, and if you look at it carefully, you will see that whole level of promoter below the top handful of guys. The promoters like, and I'm sorry, guys, that I'm going to mention your names, but it is what it is. Guys like Star Boxing and Banner Promotions and Lou DiBella and some of the other ones that are out there. There's plenty of them. I don't want to say main events because Kathy Duva is one of those on the cusp in between. But there's so many of them. Solita Promotion. All of these promoters, they'll go and do these club shows. They'll put a guy like Jarrell Baby Miller in with some bum and build him up to a point where they're ranked somewhere, and then hand them off to one of these main promoters, and then you'll see the event co-promoted by Banner Promotions, etc., etc. These guys are just investing their money into creating the opponent and waiting for the payday. They're not doing the grassroots like you suggest, Sal. They're not doing the investing and promoting. Golden Boy, when they first started, when Richard Schaefer was running the show, they were doing the right thing. They took Oscar and a couple of other veteran fighters, formed Golden Boy, and then filled their stable up with young fighters, built them up. And then all of a sudden, the old fighters retired. The young fighters were there to take their place. They had been promoted. They were known commodities, etc., and became successful. Richard Schaefer leaves. Oscar don't know, and now he's got one guy left. one major star left. So, if you want to be a successful promoter, you got to start with young fighters. Do you need some experienced veteran guys? Of course, they're the ones selling the tickets first. But you got to build up those young fighters, and instead of handing them off to someone else that can take the baton and run, so to speak, you got to continue opening up your checkbook. And that's where the line is drawn. These smaller promoters never get big because they're not willing to open up their checkbook. And there's a one-word reason for it, Sal, and that word is greed.
Greed, and maybe if you look from their standpoint, maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe that, you could have a lower, a middle, and an upper tier promotional outfit. And yes, you do the handoff, you do this and that, and everybody's happy having a co-mingling kind of partnership where you can benefit. Everyone benefits from those kind of levels and those tiers that do promote early on, hand it off, and then finally in the end it gets to the big promoter. If that's what they like and that's what they want to do, fine. But you know what? If you want to be the best and you want to be somebody special and you want to have a whole stable of champions underneath you, you've got to open up your checkbook and you got to invest in your commodity. And that's the only way you're going to grow to that level. Maybe some of these other promotional outfits, Billy, maybe they don't want to be like that. And because you know and I know and the facets that you've got to address to put on an event and a fight, and you've got to open up your checkbook. It's a lot of work. And the higher you go up the rung and the ladder, the more expensive, the more inclusive, the more, that's just it. I think when you decide to become a promoter, you get an education real fast after your first or second fight, and you've got to address and adjust. Do you want to keep continuing and building that momentum and grow and grow and grow, or do you feel complacent or comfortable remaining on a tier where you can have a decent living and do some things, and so it's all relative, and it's all whatever the individual wants to take. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you're 100% right, but there's another important factor here. And I don't disagree with anything you said. Everything you said is right. But here's the real underlying problem. It's not yes, what I said about the greed and not willing to open the checkbook and all those points you just made, all of that is 100% true. But what it actually creates the worst part of the picture. And the worst part of the picture is you end up with just a handful, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 top promoters that are actually running the show. They're the ones that are running the sport. So right. Now you have to fall in. There's no competition. When we talk about years ago, and we talk about, when Don King and Bob Arum and main events, the original main events, was all in their primes. Okay, these were promotional companies. Make no mistake, they didn't like each other, but they knew when they had to work with each other. And nobody was a monopoly in the sport. Today, you get those big guys. They're the only ones that have the deals with HBO and Showtime and the television networks. The big companies are the only ones. So it's a monopoly. So you want to get your fighter on these networks, you got to play ball with that particular promoter. Oh, you're playing ball with that promoter, then you can't play ball with this promoter because he doesn't work with that promoter. If you got a fighter, and you're a young trainer, or you're a trainer with a young fighter, whatever the situation is, and you're ready to sign with someone. Well, now you're hesitant. I don't want to sign with this guy. He doesn't have the juice. He can't get me not the Canelo juice. He can't get me the right fights and all of this. So and what's happened literally is that these smaller promoters are actually feeding the big promoters and making them more powerful. And then who gets screwed at the end, Sal? The fan.
Yeah, the fan.
That's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got some other emails. Let's read this before Sal and I just keep talking and talking.
I made a little joke. I think you got it. I said pasteurized.
No, I know.
That's the cattle getting in the pasture.
I got it.
Pasteurized by the process of temperature.
I chuckled.
You got it.
I chuckled. It was a small chuckle, but I chuckled. The thing is, you guys don't understand. Sal and I, we can sit here and talk like we're on the phone. We talk and talk and talk. And so we could just talk. I'm not even talking about the things I want to talk about. But anyway, I got another email. This is from my man Mitch. He says, Eddie Hearn's about to steal an idea of yours. It has to do with streaming fights. I can't recall, but over a year ago you mentioned an idea about streaming and selling packages or something. Don't quote me. Oops. Sorry, I guess I should have read this before. I guess I should have read this before now. Sorry, Mitch. He says, anyway, his big announcement is tied to streaming. Yeah, our inside fly on the wall in England, Johnston, hooked us up. But Mitch is my man. If we ever do another event, we're bringing Mitch out. The next email is from Thunder Breslin. My man Luke from the land down under, he says, hey guys, I got a few points and a question. Firstly, I just want to say I love the show and I catch it as often as I can. However, here in the UK, I thought he was from Australia. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, here in the UK, your show is usually on about lunchtime, which is 1-ish, which means 9 times out of 10 I'm working. That whole thing called work, it's a little overrated. He says, I usually then listen to it on a podcast streaming app I have. I also listen to it as many other podcasts on boxing as I can, but your guys' show is the one I always listen to.
Thank you so much.
He says, I do think a 3-day format would be good. It'll allow you guys to keep the content fresh, but remain on top with the big stories, while the other podcast shows are usually only once a week. I think a Monday, Wednesday, Friday would work quite well. I just want to say, I've been getting a lot of emails that don't have points and stuff concerning, I mentioned earlier in the week that we were thinking about doing, making some changes or whatever. The show is in its 15th year, and we've become a daily show. As much as finances and what have you are, putting the stranglehold on us here, I can't see not doing the show 5 days a week. I mean, if we shorten some of the shows during the week, maybe that's a solution. But we've evolved into a daily show. And one of the things that make us a little different is we like to talk about topics that should pop up. Now, with the way the division in boxing is, and I mean division meaning dividing, not, sanctioning divisions, but
or weight.
Yeah, or right, not the weight divisions either. I just think that keeps us separate, and so read between the lines. Anyway, he says, secondly, I'm glad that you, Billy, agree with me about I've never been a fan of David Haye over here in the UK after one loss at the weekend. It's been rather perplexing to me to see the amount of outpouring emotion for him. I understand that technically he's one of our top heavyweights, and there's no taking that away from him. He was an outstanding cruiserweight, and I don't say that lightly. I do. He says, I genuinely think he has one of the worst heavyweight title runs of all time. I agree. He says he's been a con artist through his entire heavyweight career, and I somehow talked myself into big fights, but convinced the public that his opponents are lucky to be fighting him. I agree with that. He says not to mention that he's failed every time he stepped up in competition at heavyweight. I agree. He says, but really, I think the main problem is he just comes across as a horrible, unlikable, cocky guy, which instantly turns me off, meaning Luke, but that's the same reason for me. He says, to be honest, it was kind of sad to watch him at the weekend, and I hope that this is the end of his fighting career. And Sal, I tell you this all the time, and people misunderstand. I'm so misunderstood, but people misunderstand me. When I'm critical of someone, and I'll point out the guys, you got guys like Floyd, and you got guys like David Haye, and you got guys like Deontay Wilder. The main reason that turns me off has nothing to do, even with guys that have so much, things going on outside the ring. It's when they pound their chest, Jarrell Baby Miller, when they pound their chest and claim everybody's afraid. Nobody wants to fight me. Blah, 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 blah. All of that rhetoric. It bothers me because there's no substance to it. No one's afraid to fight Floyd Mayweather. No one ever was afraid. You had to win the lotto to fight him, because you knew it was a big payday. Nobody's afraid to fight Jarrell Miller. No one was afraid to fight David Hay. The worst part of it is, okay, it's promotion, right? But if you're going to say, I'm going to do this, I get you in the ring, I'm going to pop you down, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then the bell rings and you run around the ring and you're a little pansy ass. Come on. Back up what you say. I respect guys that say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They try and do it. And if they fail, you can't criticize them. Sal, am I off base on this? What do you think?
No. You got to put your money where your mouth is, and you got to put your fist where your mouth is telling you can go. And no. And I understand that because it's frustrating too. When you have so much you want to say to get a fight to happen, and that you're going to come out looking glorious and everything else, and when you get the opportunity, you freeze or nothing goes the way you really promoted yourself to get into that ring to do, and it's an empty tank of gas. So, no, I know it's very anticlimactic, and if you're going to say something, let your actions back up your words. That's all. That's what we want to see.
Exactly. I have no problem with trash. People have sent me emails. Billy C, you just don't like trash talkers. No, that's not true. Some of my favorite fighters were big time trash talkers. The problem is, don't talk trash and then don't live it up. At least try and back it up. Right. And then nobody could say anything. Don't say you're going to go in there and attack like a crazy fool and then go in there and run around the ring like, ravishing Rano. Come on. But anyway, Luke says, now for my question, he says it pertains to the overusage of focus mitts in modern training. I've been reading a lot of articles on how classic fighters used to train, fighters like Jack Dempsey, Sugar Ray Robinson, etc. It always strikes me that during these era of fighters, we've said many times, had the sweet science nailed down. They were hitting and not getting hit whilst being in range to hit their opponent again, which truly is the definition of sweet science, not what Floyd has bamboozled a lot of you young fans into thinking. He says, sometimes I have noticed is when you do watch what little footage there is and read the articles, you barely ever see them using pads. He says, now my understanding of the focus pads is for a trainer one-on-one with a fighter to iron out some of the inconsistencies in the fighter's punching abilities, but I would have to assume that the majority of a fighter's training regime would involve the heavy bags, some road work, and sparring. So really my question to you guys is this. What it would be the ideal training regimen, and do you think that focus pads are overused by today's modern fighters? I'll answer first, okay?
Go ahead.
The answer, my simple answer, when I'm always asking Sal to give me a yes or no answer, I'm going to answer yes first, then I'm going to put my Sal hat on and then answer like Sal. My first answer is yes, they overuse the pads big time. The pads are recent, boys and girls. They never used to use the pads. I think they were implemented as soon as the 60s or even 70s, late 70s.
You're talking about the punch mitts, right?
The punch mitts, yeah, like late 70s. Did you use punch mitts when you fought?
Yes. We loved it. It was great.
Okay. All right. So it must be the early 70s when they came out. But listen, let me tell you something about punch mitts. And this is my opinion, and Sal will give you his in a sec. I think the punch mitts are really not as helpful as people might think. What happens, and a great example, again, I'm going to use Floyd Mayweather as an example. Everybody has seen the videos of him working with Papa Floyd with the training mitts on, and the fact that they're hitting the mitts while he's blindfolded and all of this crappy stuff, and you're like, oh wow, and he's going through the routine and stuff. It becomes exactly that, a routine, a choreographed situation. Okay, they're looking at the mitts. The intent of the mitt was to try to, as a trainer, put the mitt in a place where the fighter had to go and nail, right? If the mitt's put up here, boom. Now the mitt's down here, boom. So it's supposed to emulate an opening or what have you, that a fighter is supposed to learn, how to come and do what he has to do. But what has transpired is a lot of choreographed mitt usage where fighters are just going through the motions. And I think that's where the problem really lies. So, unfortunately, we can't get you Sal's opinion because for some reason Sal must have got dropped. We'll wait for him to come back. In the meantime, I'm going to read another email, and actually this is the last one. Don't forget, I'm not going to take a break here at our normal break time, and it is Super Chat Thursday. So far, we're going broke here. There's no Super Chats, man. So Super Chat, you got a question, you got a comment, you got a concern, then definitely give us a Super Chat and we'll make you part of the show. My last email is from my man Jeff. And Jeff says, hey, Billy C., if I didn't say that I would miss your show 5 days a week, I'd be lying. Okay, so here's another one that fell under my emails that I was looking for to be part of the show. My email comments, I should say, that also had an opinion on the 3 days, 5 days, whatever. I was getting a lot of feedback on that, but separate than this email. So, I'll read forward. I just want to make you understand what I'm talking about. He says, if I didn't say that I'd miss your show 5 days a week, I'd be lying. I look forward to listening each day, and many times I listen as I exercise in my garage to relax and enjoy. I've listened to numerous shows both in the U.S. and in the U.K., and hands down, by far, your show is absolutely the best. The most real, the most knowledgeable, the most honest assessment of the boxing world. I love that you cover domestic fights and the fights abroad, and you guys know what you're talking about, and there's no BS. I also enjoy the give and take with Sal and his boxers, meaning the former boxers' perspectives. All of the contributors are excellent, especially Larry Hazard. I won't pretend to know the cost and all that you put into your show, Billy C., but I do know it's your passion. All of your fans see it, and we can feel it with each episode. I am very, I'm tears, and I sincerely mean it. I appreciate that, and if everyone feels that way, it makes me feel really good. So thank you for that, Jeff. He says, I truly hope to be a contributing sponsor through my company, and I think we're going to get it. Three days a week will still be great, but I vote for the 5-day format. He says, I wish I had more customers with my passion for all things boxing, not MMA, but true and pure boxing. Know this, Billy C., whether your show is on 5 days a week or 3 days, I will remain a loyal Billy C. listener. You have no competition. Jeff, thank you very much for the accolades. It certainly means a lot. And at this point, we got Sal back, and it's a good time because I feel a little emotional here. But Sal, we lost you there for a minute. I wanted to get your thoughts. First of all, my man Jeff, thank you very much. And he brings up a point. We are looking. If you are with a company or own a company, we're actually looking to do a couple of things. One, we're trying to expand our sponsor team. So if you have someone or if you are that person, drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Let me know what your budget is, what you would like to see, and I'm sure we could come up with a really good scenario for both of us. And the other thing is, one of our long-term plans is to do this show live from multiple sites. We did have some people that said they wanted us to do it, and then they just fell off the face of the earth or whatever. But it's something that I feel really would bring something to this show, to be able to do it in front of, on a daily basis almost, in front of a live audience. I think we could have a lot of fun. doing things prior to and after the show is actually airing. So if you have a scenario like that could work, reach out to me. Joining us now again is Sal. And Sal, what was your comment? I know you heard the question and then all of a sudden we lost you, but what was the comments on the punch mitts? How do you feel? Do you think that they're overusing them today?
Well, yeah, I had a power surge, but I will tell you this. I think that there's definitely some benefits from using the punch mitts. Are they overused? Maybe they are, but no, I think it should still be implemented in a ritual base or daily base of cross training.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I need to know. You said you used them. Now, you were off air, and I said that the way I think that their intention was, a trainer's got the mitts on because, you're the fighter. You don't want to punch a trainer in the face. And what he would do would put that mitt in a location, either high, either low, either to the right, to the left. And you as a fighter were supposed to recognize where that target, the mitt was a target. And you were supposed to nail that target, which would emulate a fighter's movement in the ring. And, keep you fluid, keep your attention, keep you focused on what you're supposed to do. The problem with focus mitts today is the focus part, it's more become choreographed. When you used them in your training regimen, was it like I said it should be, or was it more of a, warming up, a choreographed? Explain how you use them.
That's a great question, Bill. And I'll tell you why, because I know how it's evolved over the decades from when I first used them. But when I first used them, yes, my trainers had a moving target, and they would put them there, jab, 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 right, left, boom, and we would do it. We would do the combinations. And yeah, you bob and weave, you go under pads. You could put on a whole display in a show, an exhibition with punch mitts, and or otherwise known today as focus pads, I guess, but they were punch mitts for me. And I think it's very, very usable and doable, but you gotta know when it's just a show and when it's actually, again, like I use the term, you gotta do the stuff or you're gonna give a fluff. So yeah, I think the punch mitts are very valuable. They're a great lesson, and like you suggested, that's what my trainers used to do. They used to use the mitts, used to have to strike it, then you come out with a right hand, and it was the whole thing in combinations, and you got a good workout on it. And that's the whole thing of boxing, never to be caught and left with a surprise that you have to realize. So by cross-training, you do your work on a heavy bag, you do your work on a punch mitt, you do your work in sparring, you do your work on the speed bag. And it all comes together to accumulate and make you a well-rounded fighter. And, a lot of people will say, well, what good is a speed bag? All you're doing, well, you know what? Speed bag is also good. It's hand-eye coordination. It's timing. It's cooling down. It's a lot of things. I used to love to hit the double end bag. And, my first double end bag, you want to know how old I was? Yeah, my first double end bag, when I first trained in a gym at 15, where world-class fighters came out of myself, Jerry Palmieri, and this is a garage, a two-car garage in an old colonial house. Our trainer was Eddie Helbig, and he'd smoke that cigar or a pipe while we were training and filling up the room. But he said, it's good for you. You're going to have it in an arena. You got to learn how to work with it.
I guess they weren't talking or worried about secondhand smoke back then, right?
I don't think it was invented then, secondhand smoke.
Secondhand smoke wasn't invented yet.
He would be, and the Palmieri family, love them, and I've talked about them before, and they were like a fighting family, all coming from Tony, the father, and this was a 63-year-old guy. When I had no sparring partners, he'd get in a ring with me, and believe me, I would just be defensive, but this guy would come at me like a bull, and I would have to keep my hands up because I knew with his momentum, this guy could still fight. And his son, Jerry Palmieri, was a world-class, won like 4 or 5 Golden Gloves, international gold medals against Russia, Soviet Union. And Dennis Palmieri was a fabulous fighter. So these guys were part of the gym, Eddie Helbig's boxing club in Dumont. And when our first double end bag was great, it was a basketball with harnesses around it, with duct tape, with a rubberized bicycle tube, and a 50-pound weight on the bottom. That was our introduction to a double M bag. And it was only a single bag. We graduated for a belly and a head bag when he got another basketball and he put it on the belly side. So, I mean, but these were things that were good because they would bounce. That thing would bounce. He had a bicycle tube securing it from the ceiling. He had the ropes and the duct tape holding the bags together with a harness, and he'd have a 50-pound weight with another bicycle tube on the bottom. And we hit this thing body, hit the head, and this thing would move. But it was a great workout, and it taught us a lot.
No, go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's like the old Rocky movie when he goes to the Soviet Union, and he just decides that I don't need all the stuff that Dolph Lundgren's using, Drago. I'm going to do it with my hatchet and do and those are the basics, and that's what the boxing environment and element and the cross training was all about. Do the rules and do the basics, but do them exceptionally well. And cumulatively, it comes together where you're cross training. So use of the speed bag, use of the double end bag, use of the heavy bag, use of the sparring of the sparring, and use of the punch mitts. They all come together for a well-rounded workout and to give you a well-rounded exposure to the art and the science and the conditioning of being a well-rounded fighter, to box, to punch, to move, to dance, to do whatever you got to do. Those are all the things implemented to help round you off to be in a scenario that you're not going to be surprised you're going to get it all.
Just a couple of points real quick that I wanted to make, about 40 minutes ago. But former WBO heavyweight champ Joseph Parker, who just recently lost to Anthony Joshua, his team says Joseph Parker is definitely going to earn a rematch with Anthony Joshua within a year. If we employ the same tactics we originally did and just fight often, fight regularly, pay our sanctioning fees, beat the guy they put in front of us, we're going to be back at number one within a year. People think it's voodoo and you have to send brown paper bags to Colombia and that sort of thing. Nope, you just line up a good opponent and you win, and you'll edge your way back in. And I think the world wants to see Joseph Parker fight Anthony Joshua again. I don't know about the world. Joseph Parker did give Anthony Joshua a good fight. What's disheartening about this comment is how true it is. The truth is that in today's world of boxing, all you got to do is stay busy and throw some money. He's making fun of a brown paper bag to Colombia, but he said in the statement, the sentence before, all we got to do is pay our sanctioning fees. Meaning, hey, if you get an elimination fight, because an elimination fight, when you got to understand, boys and girls, when they take and say this is an eliminator, if you've noticed, we went from this is an eliminator, and then you see this is a final eliminator for the shot at. Anytime it's an elimination fight for someone's title, they're paying a sanctioning fee. So in a sense, they're paying off the sanctioning body to get to their position. Come on, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, that's what's happening. Now, the disheartening part of this comment is the fact that it's true because, and a great example of this is Jarrell Baby Miller. Jarrell Baby Miller is in line for a title shot. Who's he fought? How did he earn this title shot? Sal and I talk about this all the time. Climbing the ladder of contenders is the way you legitimately earn a world title shot. But that's not how it works today. All you got to do is beat some slug in front of you, just like Team Parker is suggesting, even though they didn't use that choice of verbiage like I am. And you keep winning, and all of a sudden you're going to be somebody's mandatory. That's wrong. Sal, it's sad that that's the fast track. There's so many young kids that are in gyms today that are busting their ass to try and get a shot and then eventually walk away from the sport because of lack of opportunity, because these other guys are fighting slugs and have been sending brown paper bags to the commission, to the sanctioning body office, not to Columbia. The brown paper bags are going to the sanctioning body's main office. I mean, that's the disheartening part of all of this, even though it's a true statement.
Bill, It's a truer statement than you realize. Well, you do realize, what the fight fan does not realize. There will be, at any given time, in any third world country, and anywhere else, there will be a stellar talent who could probably be a world champion if he had the ability to be promoted, to have somebody look out for him. And it being outside of the mainstream boxing world, we'll never hear from these fighters because they can't sustain a living condition or life with what they're doing and how they're exposed or not exposed. And that's the reality of it. There's talent all over the world. It's just what talent could rise to the top by the people that will back and to believe and invest in that talent. And yes, the old days, remember when Muhammad Ali was coming up, you didn't see a title holder with less than 40, 50, 60 fights. And I mean, that's just the old way it was.
We do.
And today,
we do those blasts from the past. We're talking about
they
fighting
got
150 fights, 150
wins.
fights, and some of these guys didn't even get a title shot. I mean, come on.
I know. I mean, the old days, Bill, it was you got a title shot when you got maybe 40, 50, 60 fights, and you held the title and you defended it 10 times or so until you can't, and then you retire with 75 fights under your belt or whatever the heck. Those were the old days. Today, because of the mainstream, because of the cash under the table, because of everything else, you can see a fighter with 10 or 15 fights walking in a ring for a title shot. And those are the realities of what today's boxing world will reveal and will give you. But like I said, you'll never hear some of that beautiful, unfocused, unrecognized, unfounded talent in some third world country or somewhere else where this guy's got all the tools, the passion, the stick-to-itness, the punching power, the boxing ability. He'll just be something under the radar that never happens. And that's just the realities. You know what? Until somebody says, "Hey, I like you. I'm going to invest $100,000 in you. Here, we're going to slip this. We're going to get you ranked, and boom, you're going to get a title shot." It doesn't happen to all the golden goose eggs out there.
No, but we certainly get a lot of them laying eggs. That's for sure.
We got the ham and eggers out there.
We got the ham and eggers.
Forget about it. The other side of the coin.
Sergio Kovalev will be, who's, in case y'all forgot, is a WBO light heavyweight champ. He's going to be taking on Alvarez at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, the new Hard Rock in Atlantic City. It's taking place in August 4th. Will be most likely on HBO. And Alvarez has been the WBC mandatory champion for years now and has made a fortune with step-aside money because Adonis Stevenson doesn't want to fight him. And now they finally got Alvarez a shot at Kovalev's WBO title. Adonis Stevenson's title reign is going to end soon when he steps in the ring with Badou Jack. You can take that to the bank. I like that it's in Atlantic City, not only for my man Larry Hazard, but I'm hoping that Atlantic City makes a strong comeback, specifically in the sport of boxing. And this is one event that I am going to try my damnedest to be ringside for. So maybe you should come down or come up for this one too, Sal.
I would love to. Would love to.
It's going to be in August. Maybe we'll hang out.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, that's your old stomping grounds, Atlantic City. So
are you kidding me? Boy, oh boy.
Actually, you used to live in New Jersey. Yeah. So we'll make plans. We'll make plans.
It a date.
I'll get us hooked up. But anyway, some other news real quick. The World Boxing Super Series, the second season, is going to be taking place this time in the bantamweight division. We're going to have bantamweight and then two more divisions that have not been announced. But so far, bantamweight world champions that are in the World Boxing Super Series, Ryan Burnett, WBA champ, Zolani Teat, who's a WBO champ, and Emmanuel Rodriguez is the IBF bantamweight champion. They have all been confirmed. We will have announcements on who else is going to be there. One other division that is expected to be announced pretty quickly is junior welterweight. Listen, this World Boxing Super Series is nothing less than fantastic, okay? The fact that Richard Schaefer is able to get these guys, these current alphabet title holders in the ring, ready to face whoever falls in their lap, is what's helping save this sport. I got news for you. And the truth of the matter is that I'm glad that the sanctioning bodies are finding a way to work with this scenario, because it helps the sport. We've seen it clearly with the cruiserweight division and super middleweight divisions, two divisions that aren't as popular here in the United States as they are in Europe. So I'm looking forward to the success of the World Boxing Super Series, and I hope, no matter what, I pray to God, Sal, that a television network is smart enough to pick up the World Boxing Super Series at this point. Because remember, we did not get any U.S. television here for the cruiserweight or the super middleweight divisions. And I feel that the cruiserweight division would have been the one that the network should have picked up, because that is an exciting division of big men. As a matter of fact, all these cruiserweights would have been heavyweights 30, 40, 50 years ago. So cruiserweight division, for anybody that's in the United States that doesn't give it any credit, you should, because you got 200-pound guys in great shape generally fighting each other. So you're getting the knockout power, you're getting you're getting speed, you're getting talent, and generally they're in good shape. So I'm excited about this World Boxing Super Series continuing to advance, Sal.
Well, I see why, and I agree with you. And it's a tournament format that we discussed many times on the show, why a tournament could work, why a tournament can't work. But this seems to be some of the necessary ingredients to make this kind of tournament work. And you are so right. Whenever we talk about the cruiserweight division, it's like the wicked stepmother. I don't know, because you look at some of the heavyweight champions from decades ago, Rocky Marciano, even Joe Louis. They might have been a cruiserweight. I know Marciano, anything over 175 pounds, you were considered a heavyweight. 175 pounds, you were considered a heavyweight. That's why you could have 2-ton Tony Galento, who was maybe 5'5", coming in the ring with a big belly, but a vicious left hook that'll knock you down. And there was no buffer weight class in between. You were either under 175 pounds, where you were a light heavyweight, or you were over 175 pounds, where you were a heavyweight. Anything above. Yeah, those were the good old days.
Listen, the truth of the matter is even when you look at those are the two biggest jumps. You got
right.
Middleweight, right, 160 weight limit, to light heavy, which is 175 weight limit, right? Yeah. Then the jump from light heavyweight to cruiserweight is 25 pounds. The cruiserweight limit. So a guy that's 176.5 pounds, 176 pounds even, is considered a cruiserweight. And the maximum weight is 199.9. 200 pounds and above is a heavyweight. So realistically, we have a lot of talent. There's a lot of guys in the heavyweight division right now that could make cruiserweight. And the only reason why they don't is because of money. They can't get paid as much. If the popularity of the cruiserweight division would grow a little bit, we would be in good shape. Anyway,
don't think it ever will.
I hope you're wrong. I really do.
I hope I'm wrong too, but I don't think it'll ever have the match taken to the torch or fire and the candle, and I don't think it'll ever shine. I don't think it'll ever go. I hope I'm wrong, because the cruiserweight division, as you said, that's a 25-pound limit in between light heavyweight of 175 to 200 pounds of a heavyweight. So
but it's it's the money. If the popularity of, now keep in mind, you're thinking from a United States perspective, because if you go to Europe and when I travel to Europe many times for fights and stuff, for my fighters, never for the show, but the cruiserweight division and the super middleweight division, since we're talking about the World Boxing Super Series, are both very popular. If you look back at the history of both, generally there's a lot of European champions that control both of those divisions. And the reason is because they were, accepted by the fans, and thus these guys could make some money. It's not the case here in the States, but it should be, is my point. And again, when you look at the lack of promotion, this goes back to the lack of promoters actually promoting. If fans would open up their eyes and realize exactly the term you used a few moments ago, the cruiserweights today are actually the heavyweights of yesterday. Here's a great example.
Amazing.
You know, you mentioned Rocky Marciano. He never weighed more than 189 pounds for a fight.
know, he was a good cruiser.
Jack Dempsey never weighed more than 188, I think, pounds for a fight. Even a guy who was considered a monster during his reign as the heavyweight champion in Jack Johnson. He was considered a monster. I don't think he ever weighed, maybe when he was old and out of shape, but generally his fighting weight was under 205 pounds. You know,
so was Joe Louis, wasn't he? 202, 210?
Yeah, Joe Louis wasn't huge either. No. I mean, all these guys, even Gene Tunney, you know, I mean, all these guys, you know, and then look at some of the other ones. Jersey Joe Walcott, you know, was a cruiserweight, you know, I mean, was a light heavyweight who moved up to heavyweight, you know. So, you know, all these guys weren't as big. So realistically, because humans have gotten bigger and stronger and faster, you know, we have the heavyweight division that is following suit. Now you have a heavyweight. Oh, he's small. You know, I do these, you know, breakdowns. Oh yeah, he's small. He's only 6'4". He's a small guy. He's Deontay Wilder's only 220 pounds, but he's skinny. You know, he's 6'7", but you know he's not a big 6'7". You know, what are you talking about? You know, he's a monster to me. And you know, we look at these guys. We look at these guys, a heavyweight that's 6'1". Oh, he's a little guy. He's a little guy. I come up to his waist. You know, he's a little guy. Yeah, he's a little guy compared to Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua and the Klitschko brothers and all of that, because they're 6'5" and plus Tyson Fury's 6'9".
There's a lot of tainted beef out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys 6'7", 6'8". You know, I'm 6'7". I'm not good at fighting little guys 6'3". You know, 6'3". You know, come on. You know, but anyway. One last thing I wanted to mention real quick. Joe Smith Jr. Returns June 30th at the Mohegan Sun, so we'll keep an eye on him. This was following his last fight, which was a loss to Sullivan Barrera. It's been 6 months already. Joe Smith Jr., 23 wins, 2 losses, and 19 knockouts. One of our loyal listeners, my man Coach, a big fan of Joe Smith Jr. So we'll all be looking for Joe Smith's return. One thing I want to mention, don't miss tomorrow's show. We will be breaking down and giving you our predictions of all the big fights scheduled for the weekend, but there's no fight bigger than Vasily Lomachenko moving up in weight and challenging Jorge Linares for his WBA lightweight title. I'll be breaking down and giving you my predictions on that, as will Sal, as well as Saddam Ali against Jamie Mugaya, who I was supposed to be ringside. So anybody that's expecting to find me and buy me a scotch like I've been crying for, I'm not going to be there. Some unforeseen things have come up, and it's going to prevent me from being ringside. But you should still go. Get yourself some tickets. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Turning Stone Fight banner, which you can't miss. It's right there on the right-hand side. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you. Demand a Billy C discount. There's also on that HBO card, Ray Vargas against Azat Hovosian. We will be breaking that one down. I will not break down Tony Harrison against Ishii Smith. Ishii Smith is the most boring fighter known to man. But Devin Haney and Mason Menard, a fight on tomorrow night on Showtime, is intriguing. So we'll be breaking those down. So you're not going to want to miss that on tomorrow's show. We're also going to open up the phone lines tomorrow as well. It's time for the trivia question, Sal. And, man, I got people scratching their heads on this one. And it's a tough one, so I'm going to give you another hint. If you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. You'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, the same game that Alex Papali uses for our Blast from the Past segment. Here's the question, and you have to email it because we go by the timestamp. Should there be 2 correct answers, the first one that comes in is the one that wins. What do Ted Kid Lewis, Dave Shade, and Young Stribling all have in common? Now, my man Coach gave me an incorrect answer, and I used that as a big hint yesterday. All of these guys have over 200 fights each. But that's not the answer. But that is an important factor about these three guys. The next hint I'm going to give you is the answer of this question. The significance behind the answer has something to do with an achievement at a certain point in time that they all share. Okay? I've pretty much given you synonymous hint here, synonymously to the answer. Okay? They all have something relative to time associated with them and their careers. And that's the answer we're looking for. So with those two hints, what do Ted Kid Lewis, Dave Shade, and Young Stribling all have in common? If you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize. Hey, listen, boys and girls, it's been fun today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.